Hello, and welcome to this presentation on supporting at-risk students. My name is Julie Allen, and I'm an associate faculty member at Ashford University, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of the strategies that I use to support my at-risk students. At the very beginning of every course, I like to capture some background information for all of my students, such as their current work environment, as well as their future career goals. I usually gather this information during the introductions, and from there I can continue to take notes that I pick up from our classroom exchanges, as well as any phone calls or emails that we might have. And I use the course enrollment report I receive by email at the beginning of every course to keep track of this information. And as you can see in this example, the course enrollment report already contains some really great information that I might need to help support my students, such as their contact information as well as their advisor's contact information. The student's advisor can be a really great resource in helping support our at-risk students, so it's really important to keep them informed. For example, if a student is missing from class on Monday of week 1, or they miss a week of class at any point during the course, the advisor should be notified. And I did want to make a note that Civitas also offers the opportunity to CC the student's advisor on emails, so Ashford makes it really easy for us to keep connected with the student's advisor. Using the course enrollment report, I add a new sheet to the workbook to document that information that I've collected about my students and keep some notes on their work environment and future professional goals. And as you can see, I've also added some columns that help me keep track of which students I've already responded to in the discussions for that week. And I add some other sheets to the workbook to help keep track of other information about the course and track student communication. I find that having that background information for those students is really helpful for supporting all of my students, but especially my at-risk students. I can use what I've learned about their experience, for their professional experience, to help them bridge the gap and establish a connection between the assignment expectations and their specific situation and experiences. I do like to be really strategic in the way that I support my students by considering all of the variables that they're facing. So their personal circumstances, what they might be struggling with specifically in the class, as well as the course content and layout, so that I can help guide them in a way that's going to yield the best results. Sometimes students are at risk because they have low quality work that they've turned in, or it might be due to missing or late assignments. So I let those circumstances guide my approach so that I can work with students individually. I typically like to have a phone conversation with students who are in an at-risk status because of low quality work. And I find that with a phone call, I can learn a lot more about the student and gain some valuable information as to how I can best support them. However, I do always like to follow up that phone call with an email summary for both the student's reference and my own. And once I've had a chance to chat with the student over the phone and gain a better insight to their situation, I can formulate a plan to help them focus on actionable improvements that they can realize some success with rather quickly. For those actionable items, I like to give students goal-oriented feedback that they can act upon, either to revise a current assignment or to help them with future work moving forward, such as highlighting specific information that needs to be added to a graded item for a better grade, helping them formulate an outline using the assignment prompt and grading rubric so that they ensure that they're capturing all of the required elements, or possibly brainstorming ideas together. Sometimes they just need help with that first step to get moving forward. But essentially my goal is to give them something that they can do that will improve their grade, and quickly if possible. I also like to provide students with resources such as APA formatted paper templates, the Ashford Writing Center, which is a fantastic tool, as well as resources specific to what needs to be addressed in their work, such as maybe links to websites, articles, videos, or specific chapters of the text, or maybe a screen sharing video to demonstrate a particular piece of technology, for example. And of course, I like to offer students the opportunity to revise graded work that didn't quite meet the expectations. And with students who struggle, I try to check in with them regularly. And I find that when I reach out to students on a consistent basis, in turn, they typically seem to feel more comfortable reaching out to me for help as well. For students who are in an at-risk status because of missing or late work, again, I really love to have a phone conversation if possible because I just find that I can better understand the student and what they're struggling with that way. Of course, I always like to follow up phone conversations with an email summary. And in these situations where students are missing work, I like to connect with them to establish a strategy to catch up, and I generally ask students to submit one item at a time and to notify me as soon as the work is submitted so that I can quickly get the item graded and returned to them. In that case, if there's any feedback that they need to implement or incorporate for future work, they have that. And depending on what the course layout looks like, I either direct students to high-value items or I direct them to the starting point in cases when they might be dealing with assignments that are sequential in nature. And as the instructor and someone who knows the course content and the layout, this is really where I think I have the best opportunity to be of service and help the student formulate the best plan for catching up and guiding them in the direction that they're going to see the best results. And of course, I like to provide a little bit of guidance and maybe some examples for missing work because even when students communicate being busy, which I know that they are, sometimes there's also a component of procrastination that they don't even realize is happening because they're not quite sure how to get started. And again, with these students, I also like to check in regularly just to keep those lines of communication open and offer some encouragement. I do like to be cognizant of maintaining student motivation, especially for at-risk students. It can be quite demotivating for them when they see those zeros or low grades in the grade book. And there is a lot of content in the course and a lot of work that needs to be completed. And we know that they're already incredibly busy with work, family, and other personal obligations. So I try to be flexible with the individual work as much as possible. I do ask students to try to keep on track with the collaborative work and the discussion forums as their first priority. But with the individual work, I'm a lot more flexible, and as a personal choice, I don't deduct any late points in most cases for that individual work because for students, knowing that they're facing a point deduction can make an already tough situation feel even more unattainable. So I like to offer the most motivation I can. And part of helping keep the students motivated is again, determining where they should focus their efforts. Of course, quality is always important, but more so in some situations, such as when an assignment is the foundation for future work or a piece of the final project. Again, this is where I feel it can be really helpful, letting the students know rather this might be a situation where they have to take their time and focus on quality, or if they might be able to aim for B work or C work just to get an item to check off their to-do list. And as a fan of the growth mindset, I always try to make an effort to acknowledge and applaud growth and improvement over time when I see that. Rather, that's making headway getting caught up on the work that's missing or acknowledging an improvement that they've been able to make based on previous feedback. And to close, I wanted to share this quote by Wolfgang von Goethe that says, "Treat people as if they were what they ought to be, and you help them to become what they are capable of being." And to me, I feel this represents helping students recognize the potential that they have, first by setting high expectations, and then by helping them achieve those expectations when they face challenges and obstacles. We have a great opportunity to influence how students approach those challenges and obstacles that they'll face later on. So that's something that I really try to capitalize on whenever I have the chance. Thank you so much for letting me share.